You are not paranoid. The FBI is out to get you. Y'all know I've been covering the FBI to ad nauseum. I've always said that the FBI was corrupt. I believe they're one of the most corrupt agencies in our government. Look what they've done to regular American citizens. I mean, throughout its inception, the FBI was corrupt under Hoover. I mean, it's just crazy. But now with the tech, they use technology and they use uh, 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 different things like technology and things like that to actually spy on you. It's just crazy. The FBI is so corrupt. If anything, um, that the Twitter files revealed, that's one major thing that it did reveal. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store where I have I Will Not Comply t-shirts. So check those t-shirts out as well. All right, let's talk about this news. A group of dissidents gather in a conference room at a Washington, D.C. hotel to discuss the next steps for their social justice movement. But there, in the back of the room, stands a man in dark sunglasses with his face partially covered. It was an invite only event, so surely he's been vetted, and yet nobody seems to recognize him. Worse yet, he appears to be surreptitiously recording the event. Before anyone can confront him, he slips out the back. A few weeks later, a member of the movement appears in court, where she's confronted with transcripts of the meeting as evidence that she violated the terms of her release. Uh, Her colleagues pulled the mistress stranger's name from the sign-in list. It's bogus. He was a Fed. If it were 1963, I might be describing a meeting of the Black Panther Party or the Student Nonviolent Coordinated Committee. In reality, this is the story of how the FBI infiltrates a pro life event held in January 2023. I mean, it's despicable. I mean, people are literally trying to save babies' lives, and the FBI is infiltrating these events. It's crazy. They treat them worse than they treat Antifa, people who actually attacking police, attacking people, innocent people. The FBI is nowhere to be found there. But God forbid we try to save a baby's life, and the FBI is all over it. This is we live in upside down world, bizarro world. Quote, pro-life group Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, or PAYU, PAYU, recently alleged on Twitter that an undercover FBI informant secretly recorded their meeting. Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz wrote Wednesday in a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland, quote, Eric Mike Santos attended taped a pro-life meeting at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. The recording was then used in federal court as evidence that PAYU director of activism, Lauren Handy, violated her terms of release. Crazy. And Fox News' Brett Baer asked FBI Director Christopher Wray about PAYU's allegation during an interview Tuesday, but the director declined to comment. Of course. What is he gonna say? Yeah, we put informants in pro-life groups. Um, the covert surveillance of PAYU was only the latest instance of the Bureau taking aim at people and organizations that dare to question woke dogma. An FBI document that leaked in early February cited the left wing Southern Poverty Law Center to brand, quote, radically traditional Catholics as potential extremists. Y'all know I did a whole video on that. The assessment even called for the cultivation of sources within Latin Mass parishes. The Bureau retracted the memo the next day and apologized, but it's unclear whether they were sorry for doing it or sorry they got caught. I think the latter. I think they just sorry they got caught. And it was such a backlash because we have a lot of Catholics in this country, so of course they were upset about it. But it's not surprising that the Richmond office was stooped to spying on Catholics. On Thursday, a Bureau whistleblower told a White House subcommittee he'd been pressured to inflate the number of, quote, domestic terrorism cases under investigation to make that threat appear larger than it is. Of course, that's why they're going after Catholics and pro-life people and conservatives all together, because they have to have some type of boogeyman to justify the organization. But domestic terrorism is, of course, code for opposition to the regime ideology. In September, federal agents descended on the home of pro-life sidewalk counselor Mark Halt, like they were trying to capture Pablo Escobar, and I did a report on that. At least 15 agents reportedly stormed the house with assault rifles, terrifying Halt's family and 7 children. His crime: shoving a pro-choice abortion clinic escort who was screaming threats and obscenities at his 12-year-old son's face. I would have did the same thing. Well, I would have did more than shove. They probably they would have arrested me on the spot, because I would have did more than shove. But then there's Garland's October 2021 memo in which he directed the FBI to, quote, use its authority to investigate parents who have the audacity to voice their displeasure with their local school board. I mean, isn't that what the school board meetings is for, though? Object to pornography in schools, and suddenly you're an enemy of the state. This is ridiculous. Again, FBI needs to be gone. It needs to be disbanded. We need to get rid of them. And by the way, we never did get a straight answer about Ray Epps on the January 6th Capitol riot. Federal agents once surveilled, raided, blackmailed, and perhaps even murdered key figures in the struggle for black liberation. Today, they exhibit the same tendencies toward anyone pushing back against the progressive ideology that has captured our country's institutions. It's in every single institution. I mean, think of an institution, and the woke ideology and the leftist ideology is all in it. You can't name one that there's not. I mean, even in investments, they're pushing this woke stuff. But meanwhile, the modern day successor of the racial justice movement are feted and flattered. In 2020, then Senator Kamala Harris raised bail money for rioters and try to pretend like she never did that. We got the receipts. We seen the video. When lawless vandals torched a church in D.C., the mayor responded by renaming the street Black Lives Matter Plaza. Parents, pro-lifers, and devout Catholics get the boot on their necks. Pseudo subversive race hustlers get MacArthur Genius grants and Pulitzer prizes. Do you get it yet? In light of these abuses, conservatives can no longer afford to maintain a naive patriotism that defers to authority and shrinks away from conflict. I mean, because look what they're doing to us. They're censoring us. They're spying on us. They're arresting us. I mean, FBI has to go. But let me know what you think about all this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace. Oh, say, oh, say.